Peace out! Welcome everybody to the Gimme a Whole Year Wrestling Podcast. My name is Dom.
And I'm Ant. And today we are talking about In Your House 3. We are in your house.
Probably in your house. It could be with the wonders of modern technology. We could be in your car. We could be in your crotch. We could be in your...
You can't be in your crotch.
Well, who knows now?
You can't get like a media platform put into your crotch.
Anthony, who knows? We're in 2018 now. Christmas is coming. Who knows?
Entertainment.
Modern entertainment. Where else could we be?
Who knows?
Who knows? Maybe.
September the 24th, 1995, and Saginaw, Michigan. Go on.
I was just going to creep people out. Be like, maybe we're inside your head.
Well, I'm sure that'll help our audience out get to sleep later to this evening. Number one film at the time was Seven, a film about the seven deadly sins with Kevin Spacey and Brad Pitt. Creepy. Great film, man. And the number one single was Simply Red, Fairground. Give us a demonstration, Dom.
I only know the chords.
Commentators.
Did you ever notice that Mick Hucknall looks like the guy from the Rasmus?
Don't tell my girlfriend that. She loves the Rasmus.
Yeah. Next time you watch the video.
Yeah. I think he looks more like Axl Rose nowadays.
He has a very Axl Rose look about him. Anyway,
Is there any wrestlers Mick Hucknall looks like? Ginger long hair, Road Dogg. Commentators: Jerry Lawler, Vince McMahon, and Jim Ross.
Yeah, you know what? I'd say Road Dogg as well.
Yeah, that's funny. Early Road Dogg was like Mick Hucknall. Yeah. We get a video pack. So Jim Ross is on commentary. Right, this is great, and I know this a few times, so I'm going to talk about it now. Jim Ross does this thing where every so often he calls out the name of the move, like a commentator should do.
Well researched.
Which Vince
informed
doesn't do.
Well informed.
Exactly.
I feel like though that's the thing. I think Vince McMahon has this kind of, the complex of the boss where he's like, I don't need to know the names because I'm the boss.
Yeah, but it's rubbish.
I know.
What, in the last match where he was like, oh, is it Eli or Jacob that's in the ring now? Who knows?
He probably thinks it's funny. He probably thinks that's funny.
It's not funny, it's just rubbish.
Don't you, Vince?
So we get a video package at the start showing the lead up to the main event. This is the main event for the Intercontinental Championship, the Heavyweight Championship, and the Tag Team Championship.
All together.
All on the line. We are guaranteed a new champion at the end of this pay-per-view. Does that make you excited, Dom?
Makes me confused.
Or are we? WWE mess it up?
I just feel confused. I felt confused before. I felt confused during.
I think it's quite clear. I think it's quite good.
Nah, I felt confused during it, and I felt very confused after it.
I think it's a big selling line. It's a big selling line to say, watch this in your house, someone is changing championship.
Yes.
Maybe it doesn't happen. But in terms of getting people to buy it, it makes sense. Now, let's talk a little bit about WCW, because it's very important at this time. So, between this pay-per-view and the last pay-per-view, which Lex Luger's gone, we don't have to cover Lex Luger no more.
Some big changes this time.
Lex Luger has showed up a week after the last pay-per-view on a show, a new show called Monday Night Nitro.
Monday Nitro.
Monday Nitro. Not Monday Night Raw, yeah. So Monday Nitro's kicked off. So we are really hitting the stride of the Monday Night Wars. Wow. And let's talk a little bit about WCW. They've just had Bash at the Beach. They've had Ric Flair versus Hogan, the match that everyone wanted to see. They're doing new stuff. They've got the first Monday Night Nitro had another great match by Sting and Flair. And we've got this.
Hey man,
this WWF at the time in general, not necessarily this pay-per-view.
Everybody's got to have a lull.
And actually, this WWF match, this In Your House 3, could have probably been a Raw.
Yeah,
it could have just been on a Raw. Yeah. So I think that's interesting. So that's the start of the Monday Night Wars. If you haven't seen any of the footage on Monday Night Wars, go check out the Monday Night War documentary. They did a really good documentary which focused on different individuals on the WWE network. So go check that out. They've got a new theme song. It's a real shame that they couldn't keep Jeff Jarrett and use his theme song that they'd come up with from the last one, because that really worked as a pay-per-view for me. I really quite like In Your House too. Savio Vega versus Waylon Mercy.
The original Bray Wyatt.
Yes, the repackaged Dan Spivey, who Dan Spivey, of course, we've already covered in the pay-per-view. He was with the American Express with Mike Rotunda, who would go on to be...
Of course, interesting comparison.
IRS, who is also Bray Wyatt's dad. So
maybe I'd like to think that his dad was like, hey, so...
maybe his dad wasn't IRS, maybe it was Waylon Mercy.
Whoa. Maybe Sister Abigail is Waylon Mercy.
Whoa. Don't, man. I feel like we're just as bad as WWE's booking right now. Waylon Mercy. So he looked like a cult.
I did read somewhere there was talk of bringing him back in to be.
Waylon Mercy.
Yeah, to be with Bray Wyatt, but obviously it got scrapped.
Wonderful. Waylon Mercy. Well, he was at the end of his career here. Yeah. He looked a bit like Hunter S. Thompson in a cult outfit, didn't he?
I did, yes.
Don't you think? He had sort of the bald spot on the hair and the dyed black hair. Yeah. So Vega is going from that massive push at King of the Ring to a match with Waylon Mercy. Again, it feels like Raw, man. This is the only pay-per-view appearance of the character as well, unfortunately. It was a good character. It worked well for Bray Wyatt.
It's been recycled a billion times.
It didn't work very well for Waylon Mercy. He was at the end of his career. He was slow, man.
He didn't have a visual strike, did he?
No. Yeah. Doc Hendricks interrupts the match at the start to say that Owen Hart is not in the building. Surefire way to get you excited about the match. Waylon Mercy locks you...
his finishing move, to be fair, was an indication of the character. His finishing move was the sleeper.
Yes.
Like, that was the way you end.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, you literally...
Yeah, but that also sort of makes sense with the character, with the cult leader, people putting, like that big mass suicide and stuff like that, putting people to sleep.
Wow, that's dark.
Well, if you really go there, if you think about what the potential is for that.
Is that too dark for you, YouTube?
Way too dark for this YouTube. So he locks on the sleeper, looking around with his crazy eyes.
He's smelling what Waylon's cooking.
What?
You just did a rock.
Thing. Yeah, very good. Vega uses the turnbuckle to get out, though. For a consummate jobber, Waylon Mercy didn't sell very convincingly for me.
He's not a consummate jobber. He was pushed this time.
Yeah, but he had been a jobber for many years. I mean... It's a bit like Horowitz. I don't think he was a great seller for these guys that were jobbing out. It was weird. I think Waylon Mercy might have had a match against Matt Hardy.
Really?
Yeah, because Matt Hardy.
Wow, there you go.
I think so.
It's all coming together now.
Savio Vega does his spinning heel kick, but no, not his spinning. The spinning heel kick, but it doesn't put Waylon Mercy down. Vega grabbed Waylon Mercy's head and slow falls to the mat. Right, so he grabs his head. Right, and it's almost like a bulldog, like DDT.
Like a front face thing. Dean Ambrose did it for a while.
No, this is awful. This is just like he's holding him there and he just slowly falls to the mat and then it goes into a pin and it looks rubbish. It looks awful, man. And Vince does my head in. He's telling it, oh my God, that was a tremendous manoeuvre.
He's probably in his head, he's probably thinking,
what are they doing?
I need to fire these guys.
Waylon gets a brainbuster, but again, it's in really sloppy. I hadn't even wrote down who won. Oh, eventually Vega gets the running heel kick.
I thought Waylon won this one.
No, Vega does.
There you go.
The backward heel kick, the running one that he does, and he's just an awful match. I thought it was rubbish.
I seem to from memory. From memory again, I've always been drawn to those dark characters. Mm-hmm. So when I pull this stuff from memory, I always kind of go with my vision of what it was, how it should have been.
Yeah, and it's just not.
And that's a shame because every time I remember Waylon Mercy, he was in a winning match, but it was always on like.
And you always think about the build-up of what could have been. It was
always on the Sunday, like the Sunday night heats or the
shows, later on, But well, that's fine. The crowd don't care though either. I mean when Waylon Mercy is in control, the crowd don't boo or cheer. It's the same with another match, actually. We'll come back to that point. So, backstage we can see Cornette arguing with Gorilla Monsoon. Gorilla Monsoon is obviously the general manager. Was that his role?
That was his thing, then.
Cornette says Owen is in Michigan, and Gorilla says the match will happen with or without Owen, building up to this one-match card, basically. Next up we have Psycho Sid with Ted DiBiase versus Henry O Godwin.
Good wins. Slop drop.
Yeah.
Bucket slop.
Yeah. Psycho Sid, main event against Diesel.
Hey man, hey.
Now against Godwinn.
Don't check the don't check yourself before you wreck yourself with a slot bucket here. You know,
it's just weird.
The Godwinns, and one of them became Midian.
Yeah,
it's
just weird, man. It's weird.
Phineas O Godwin became Midian,
yeah.
Naked Midian.
Yeah, yay. It's just weird.
It is.
It's really weird. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't feel.
I liked the Godwinns as faces. I liked what they did at this time. It was very. But then the slot bucket thing. That was.
Is there any wonder people were going and watching WCW?
Yeah, it was a bit cartoonish at this time.
Yeah. And it's Psycho Sid. It's the main event Psycho Sid.
I don't think a slot bucket gimmick was ever seen again until Tommy Dreamer.
And then it came back.
Did I ever show you that?
No,
the Undertaker thing where he pukes in the bucket.
Oh yeah, man.
Yeah.
Nasty. Yeah. Again, this could have happened on Raw weekly TV and it'd be okay, but it's a pay-per-view that people are actually paying money to watch. Yeah. Henry O Godwin comes down with his banjo theme song. Ding, 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 ding.
It was cool, man. At this time, I liked it.
Yeah, Henry gets loads of offense at the start, knocking Sid out the ring. He suplexes Sid off the apron into the ring. He hurts his back as he does so. Sid starts targeting the back with a double axe handle off the apron, and then some DiBiase interference. Go on.
I like.
I think he does two axe handles off the apron.
It's a weird, it's a very weird level of interference. Obviously, eventually gets the slop bucket, but it doesn't excite me.
No,
none of this.
It doesn't. No. That's normally makes for a fun episode, anyway.
None of this excites me.
After a couple of turnbuckle punches and targeting of Godwinn's back, Sid locks him into the camel clutch. Again, afterwards, it's more double axe handle to the back. Sid's moveset is just awful, man. Yeah. Sid matches, they're not entertaining me, and I don't know why. They're just not entertaining me whatsoever.
The character work.
It feels like such a limited
moveset. You can only
make
Sid look good if you put him with a Diesel or a Shawn Michaels.
No, he didn't look good with a Diesel. Shawn Michaels, fine. Not a Diesel.
Do you think it's down to the dynamic between the weight classes and having someone smaller as the underdog?
It could be, but then let's be honest, his match at WrestleMania 8 wasn't exactly the best.
True.
So I mean, I'm just not being impressed with Sid. Okay. I know that you're a fan of Sid, but I think his promos are good.
I like his promos. I did this in the previous, but I like that whole kind of the master of the.
Yeah, it's great, man. It's great. But in terms of in-ring work, it's just hard to watch.
It's probably one of my favourite quotes, because I used to get really freaked out by it because he used to look dead in the camera and spit and shake.
Yeah. No, his promos are amazing,
except when he gets them wrong.
Yeah,
there's some classic botch WWE endorsed botch videos which feature Psycho Sid
heavily. Godwinn eventually hits Sid with a slop drop. Can we not call a move a slop drop?
I mean, the slop drop was the actual. It was confusing because people would say the slop drop when he dropped the slop.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, I know, but they also had the move. They also call it the move.
Yeah.
So people would be like, "Oh, he's slop drop."
Slop drop, but slop drop is an awful name.
It works in context.
Okay, cool. Godwinn eventually DiBiase interferes, Sid gets a leg drop on the back of Godwinn's head, followed by a powerbomb. I can't deny Sid's strength for being able to lift Henry Godwinn up at all. That was impressive. About the only impressive thing in the match. DiBiase and Sid argue over who should drop slop. Godwinn. Bam Bam comes out to attack Sid. And Karma comes out to attack Bam Bam. Wow. Karma interfering in another Sid match. I'm surprised they allowed that to happen after WrestleMania 8, where Papa Shango came down very late for an interference and botched the entire match. Not that it wasn't already botched.
I just recall as well, I've literally just recalled, you can see for a few seconds the look of panic on Papa Shango's eyes.
Yeah, it's great. When he comes down in WrestleMania 8.
He's like,
what?
He's like... and for a split second, you see the human underneath the face paint go.
Yeah. And this match isn't Hogan versus Sid. This is Godwinn versus Sid with the run-in by Karma. DiBiase goes to slop Godwinn. DiBiase goes to slop Bam Bam, who's been held by Karma. And Godwinn comes behind him and puts it on his head. Hilariously, there's a fern, like a fern that's stuck on the back of DBF's head, which is really quite funny, but yeah.
That's
It's not great. I mean, it's not that entertaining.
Light relief. WWE at this point goes from the premiere program to the comedy relief. WCW takes over at this point.
Big time.
In my opinion.
And this is why.
There is a window.
Exactly why.
There is a window of time, and we are in that window.
Yes,
of time.
we are. Yeah. And it's a weird place to use Sid. Again, backstage, Gorilla and Cornette are still arguing. If Cornette can't find someone to replace Owen, then Yokozuna will fight alone. Whoever Cornette gets will get the same privilege as Owen had in terms of full title opportunities. Next match, British Bulldog versus Bam Bam. I thought Bam Bam was a face.
Yes, interesting.
He is.
Interesting.
Bulldog's the heel.
Yes.
Wow. What do you think of Bulldog as a heel?
I liked it.
He's better face. I
legitimately didn't want him to be a heel.
No.
As a Brit, and then when he came back, he actually did a better job. It's so sad that we've talked about this before, that he passed away.
Yeah.
He did a really good job as a heel when he came back too.
Right. I think this is a good match.
He was too heavily featured in the mid card, and he was
way too much
prominent in the hardcore division.
Yeah, he should have been main event.
He had his jeans.
In fact, the ending to this match should have changed, in my opinion. But we'll talk about that when we get into it. Yeah, he's now a heel. He's now got short hair. Obviously, the Lex and Bulldog tag team is over. Lex has left for WCW. We see him help Mabel take down Diesel on Raw. The night after on Raw from tonight, Bulldog would face The Undertaker. Oh, there's no Undertaker on this pay-per-view. He was in a dark match. That's a bit weird. Again, not using that sort of thing. Bulldog versus Undertaker. I must go back and watch that. Two really great talents, Bam Bam and Bulldog. I don't think it's the best match, but it's good.
I think Bulldog carries it.
Yeah, I think he does. I think it's really solid. They can go at real decent speed. We see a lot of early running on the ropes, both ducking and diving over each other, and they feel really equal. It's a good matchup. There's a nice spot where Bam Bam escapes a sleeper by flipping Bulldog over his head into the headbutt, which is great. Really shows the strength of both guys. Jim Cornette is talking backstage to Psycho Sid. Again, we don't need to see that. But anyway, Bulldog is building up that main event. Bulldog pulls down the rope, sending Bam Bam over, who looks like he falls in slop. Because obviously they just had the Henry Godwin slop section, so it's like it looked like he didn't get his bearings on his feet very well, which could have been dangerous, man. Bulldog goes for a suplex, but Bam Bam reverses it, hanging the rope between his legs. He then delivers a headbutt, but doesn't get the pin. Bulldog starts working over Bam Bam's legs. A great Pele kick. Is it called a Pele kick? Back then it would have been, will it? Because Pele's a football. What does he call it?
We're going to stick with a Pele, I think.
Okay, cool. Yeah, modern day it'd be called a Pele kick, which sends Bulldog flipping over himself in a 360. That's great. A lot more of Bulldog... Inchiguri, that's the word, thank you. A lot more of Bulldog going for submissions than we've ever seen before. I think there could have been a couple more slams toward the... midpoint
to sort of demonstrate the power
and speed it up a little bit. That's my only sort of problem with the match. Bulldog goes for a slam, but Bam Bam falls on top of him. Bam Bam messes up though, going for a moonsault and missing. Bulldog delivers his own headbutt but lands on his knee first. It doesn't look as strong as it could whenever someone lands on the knees. Eventually Bulldog gets a power slam on Bam Bam for the win. That's good. It was okay. Yeah.
It works in the context of where it is on the card.
Nice to see these two go out there.
Yeah.
You know?
And it sets up, it allows for what happens later on.
It does. They have a WrestleMania 11 advert. So they've got a special on Fox that's coming up the next Saturday, and I just thought I'd talk about it briefly. So it's basically a trailer for this special event. And the WWF is basically showing WrestleMania 11. The WWF editors, I think, show two wrestlers, and everything else is celebrity. And that goes to show, how they're trying to use celebrity to sell wrestling. Yeah. All they've got is Michaels and Diesel, and everything else is Pamela Anderson and Lawrence Taylor. I mean, granted, you get Bam Bam as part of that, but it's just really interesting to see WWE not focusing on the talent whatsoever, but focusing on celebrity. Thankfully, we don't get that these days. Not like that at all.
Not as much now.
No. Next match, we have Dean Douglas with Bob Backlund. I don't know why Bob Backlund was there. Like, he didn't do anything. Versus Razor Ramon. Dean Douglas, we haven't seen since the 91 Royal Rumble. What's up?
Sad times, because this is the first time on this podcast we see a heel 1-2-3 kid. But anyway, carry on.
Oh, you getting upset? Bless you. Is it a full heel? No, it's not yet. It's not yet. Next pay-per-view.
It's all signified.
Next pay-per-view.
It's all signified. It's all coming. And it's easy to see.
Bob Backlund gets in the ring early on and cuts a promo. What did he say? Nothing?
Bob
I mean,
throughout his history, he just doesn't really say much, except for... Well, in fact,
no, he says too much, but he doesn't say anything.
He has this political lean, or these kind of crazy, psycho, like weird premonition type things.
Yeah.
Maybe they should have given the Waylon Mercy gimmick to Bob Backlund, and it would have worked.
He would have worked as a weird cult leader.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Bob Backlund might actually be a weird cult leader.
Probably
somewhere in like Mississippi
with Darren Young.
Poor Darren Young. I hope you if you're watching this, Darren, I hope you're okay, buddy.
Yeah, it goes on forever. So then Dean Douglas comes down. He comes down in this robe, and this is part of WWF's problem, right? So in the 80s, we've had a superstar come down with a robe a lot. Who was that?
Well, you had Ric Flair, didn't you?
Macho Man Randy Savage, and Ric Flair, yeah. But yeah, in
and
WWE.
countless others, to be fair.
Yeah, and they looked amazing.
Yes, and these days you have...
Dean Douglas.
You have Bobby Roode.
Who looks amazing. Yeah. Dean Douglas. It looked like they bought it from a costume shop with really naff sequins
I'm pretty sure that it's basically... It just goes to show you how much they valued... the talent and diversity of a man like Dean Douglas.
Yeah, it's sad, isn't it? It's a shame.
And his legacy.
It's a shame. It's a shame.
And his great legacy in Extreme Wrestling.
We see footage of him interrupting the Razor Kid match. So Razor and Kid have had a rematch from their Raw. A rematch of the Raw event where obviously 1, 2, 3 Kid went over. Dean Douglas interferes halfway through. Razor comes to the ring and starts attacking Douglas straight away, so fast that the pyrotechnician who had put his pyros out for the sprinkler effect didn't get a chance to use it. So I'm guessing there was a bit of a lack of communication there. Notice stuff like that. It's a good start. The match is a good start. It feels like Dean Douglas is trying to wrestle Razor, but he beats him off quite easy, sending him to the outside of the ring, etc. And it always ends up with Razor catching Dean Douglas. The problem is, and I don't necessarily think this is Dean's fault, that the character is so naff that the audience don't care. So when Dean is in...
I think they care more about Razor and more about the subcontext of this story, which, like we said...
is the 1, 2, 3 kid.
And
but
his desire to beat Razor and to prove that he's either equal or better.
Yeah. But Dean is in the ring at the minute, and and he has quite a lot of offense, but when he has the offense, the crowd aren't booing, they're not cheering, they're just silent.
They're not doing anything, yeah.
Right, so then Razor gets a punch and the crowd cheer, but that's not a dynamic. Yeah. They haven't built up this heel character very well. And speaking of that, they've got Backlund there at ringside. Yeah. Why didn't they use him for that? Why didn't they have him get against Razor or pull him or something, which would have got the crowd then booing? But it doesn't feel like it, man. It's bad. Yokozuna and Cornette are talking to Mabel backstage. Still looking for that tag team partner. Fine. Mabel versus Mabel and Yokozuna as a tag team. It'd be a spot-heavy tag team, wouldn't it?
That'd be intense.
It'd look good, but the matches would be awful. Dean fakes out a sunset flip and eventually does it, but Razor doesn't get rolled up, instead dropping to his knees. To me, it feels like even Razor's a little slow in this match as well. Dean uses the ring steps and the ring post on the outside of the ring. For me, the start of the match is a little slow. Dean doesn't have enough heat. I think Douglas's moves are solid, but I think it's the heat. I think it's just not there. Yeah. Dean Douglas eventually trips Razor into the ref and Backlund tries to revive him. I don't know why, because Douglas wasn't winning at this point. Continues to revive him as Razor's delivering a Razor's Edge, because that makes sense. The 1, 2, 3 kid comes in and counts 1, 2, 3, counts the pin. Razor gets up to celebrate and turns and realises it's the 1, 2, 3 kid that's come to help him out. But it's not official. He hasn't won the match. Douglas gets a roll-up at this point for the win as Razor and 1, 2, 3 kid are arguing. Razor rolls the kid in and starts arguing with him. We start to see a few slaps being thrown as officials come and break them up. Interesting.
Yeah.
Do you like 1, 2, 3 kid as a heel?
They could have done so much more with it at this point.
Are you excited to rewatch it?
Yes.
Yes, cool. That's good. That's good.
Yes.
What do you think of the match? It was it's weird, isn't it? Meh. We get a preview of In Your House 4 teasing Undertaker versus Mabel and the debut of... Are you okay? Goldust is in Your House 4. So please, if you're enjoying the channel and you're enjoying the podcast, please, if you hit that thumbs up button, it really helps us out. It lets people know that someone's enjoying it. Lets us know that someone's out there enjoying it. Anything you disagree with below, write down in the comments.
We want your opinions. What do you hate? What do you love? We just want your emotion.
And if you head over to Facebook and Twitter, we'll let you know when the In Your House 4 pay-per-view review is out. So check it out in our Wrestling Rewind playlist on YouTube.
Yeah.
And also, if you head over to Patreon, you can help us out financially if you are so inclined to do so. But just that thumbs up really does help.
Nice. I'm always worried I'm going to pinch your nipple back.
You do every time.
Do I?
No, I'm just very hairy.
I just, buy a t-shirt.
But awesome. Interviews with Michaels and Diesel. Michaels is... Thanks, sweetheart. Thanks, Mum. Michaels is frustrated that Owens isn't here. The two dudes with attitudes will be walking out with 4 belts tonight. So now we get into the better part of the pay-per-view, I'd say.
Yeah.
Bret Hart versus Jean-Pierre Lafay, I think. Lafay.
Jean-Pierre Lafay.
Also, we have seen him before. I didn't think we had, but he was one of the Quebecers. He was Pierre Oulet in the...
He looks like
Carl Oulet,
he looks
I think
legitimately like a bad bottom here.
He's put on some bulk, and he looks good. I think if they'd worked correctly with him, he could have been a big part of the Attitude Era. He would have really fit in there. Got rid of that pirate gimmick.
The
eye patch is fine. The thing is, he was blind in one eye, I think.
It was legitimate, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, yeah. So I don't mind that, but the pirate boots, nah. Good in the ring, though. Enjoyed this match.
Very good.
Jean-Pierre enters the ring with Bret Hart's jacket. Apparently, stealing a jacket is enough to start a feud in WWF at this point. Lafitte thinks of himself as a pirate, but tonight he's going to walk the plank, Bret Hart says. Very good. Bret starts off the match with a suicide dive through the middle rope that completely misses, just skims Lafitte's head, and he just flies over him and looks like he could have killed himself. It's the weirdest.
Bret was very hit and miss with his suicide dive.
He was, cool, but he could have killed himself. The two have a lot of solid back and forth, both having their own control in the match. Pierre was a talented guy. The pirate gimmick was awful, but his ring style held up against Bret.
It's not the worst pirate we've seen in history.
No.
In fact, a British wrestler as well.
Yeah.
Paul Burchill does it later on in the years, and he does a worse job than this.
Can't wait for that. Be fun. Pierre drives Bret through the solid ring post as he continues to target the shoulder. Bret backdrops Pierre over the top rope, and he lands on his feet on the floor, pulling Bret out of the ring and throwing him into the ring steps really fast, really good. So he goes over straight away, pulls Bret onto the ring steps, really nice. Pierre goes for a spine buster. That was a bit sloppy on Bret. I think Bret was running too fast into it, and it just he fell forward with it. Pierre delivers his cannonball. Not the move that you'd think. It's cool. A leg drop, isn't it?
It's cool though.
A leg drop from the top rope. We've just seen Kane deliver one in our SummerSlam 95 review that was talking about. He then goes for a senton. That might have been what was supposed to be the cannonball.
Because I remember
it was Vince calling the leg drop.
Senton.
Yeah. Vince was calling the cannonball as the leg drop, which is weird. Pierre does a flip over the top rope, but lands with his back on the crash mat. He flips from the ring over the top rope, flat on his back on the outside. That's an impressive bump, man.
Yep.
An impressive bump. Pierre goes for the pin with his feet on the ropes, but doesn't get it. Bret goes to attack Pierre on the rope, but he moves out of the way, leaving him hanging to dry. The two collide in the middle of the ring, but I think it was supposed to be a double clothesline, but it was just a bit of a sloppy sort of. They'd had a long match by this point, though. And when they were both on the floor, Bret does that great thing that he did at the 92 SummerSlam, where he grabs his legs and sort of stands up into the sharpshooter and gets a pin, straight away, the submission straight away.
Nice little counter.
Yeah, Bret wins and celebrates with his jacket in the ring. So, I quite like the match. It's okay. There's just not enough story going into it, man. I mean, it's not built up, is it?
Isn't like world, it's not world shaking, is it?
It's not, no. And then you've got but then items of clothing can be used in a good storyline. I really enjoyed what they're doing with Ruby Riott and Natalya at the minute.
I've not seen that.
Oh, so Ruby Riott took Natalya's shades, which were actually her dad's shades, who's recently passed away, Jim the Anvil Neidhart, and broke them on the outside. I mean, that is going too far.
That's huge heel,
Yeah, and it's not his glasses, and it's just storyline. But then you go on the YouTube, and people's comments are, oh no, she's taking it too far.
I believe that in a feud with Val Venus, which was more than storyline, or became more than storyline, Goldust and Val Venus. Val Venus stole some of Goldust's wife's underwear, but it was implied that it was done with an affair, and I believe there was some truth to it.
But all of what we've just described have all these levels of depth. That's not just.
So it depends what it is.
I saw his jacket in the locker room, and I went, "Arr!
You've got a well nice jacket, yeah? Give me it."
It's bad. We see Cornette and Yokozuna backstage with the British Bulldogs have chosen the partner. This whole pay-per-view is built on this one match. Yeah. Big time, isn't it? They're selling it all the way through. And like I say, I quite enjoyed the last match, but they really are building it. And Cornette explains that the rules on the title changes. I thought it was pretty clear. You didn't.
Yeah, I think this whole thing was very confusing when Owen sort of suddenly comes in with spoiler. Comes in like there's a lot.
But in terms of, did you understand who was going to win the title?
Well, as far as I gather, you got. Whoever pinned Shawn was the Intercontinental Champion.
That's right.
Whoever pinned Diesel was the World Champion.
Yeah.
And if
either of the tag teams got pinned, then there was the tag team champion. I thought it worked, and I thought for what could have been a really difficult thing to understand, I thought they actually delivered it quite well, especially Cornette. I think that's
it was fine, except with a weird match.
Yes.
Interference.
But not before we get into that match, Alundra Blaze comes out.
Yeah, selling a T-shirt.
And it was an awful T-shirt, man.
For a match that obviously wasn't as advertised anymore.
Yes, a triple header, not as advertised because it no longer has Bret Hart. And it's just Owen Hart, and it's just an awful white print T-shirt that's just...
Yeah, they're not going to change it. They're just going to... You've got to just...
And they're getting Alundra Blaze to sell it, man. Yeah. I mean, give us something to do.
I'm pretty sure this is probably the moment she was like, nah, man, I'm gonna get in some big trucks and do
she went to
defying stunts.
WCW for a long time after this, but two dudes with attitude. Diesel and Shawn Michaels versus British Bulldog and Yokozuna. The matches for the Tag Team Championships, the Intercontinental Championships, and the World Heavyweight Championships. 3 titles on the line at In Your House 3.
This is not a mark of Vince McMahon's insecurity about the rise of WCW at all.
No. It is, though. It's all about you. If you buy this pay-per-view, you will see a title change. We guarantee you that. Yeah. That's what it's about. And then the title doesn't change. Yeah. Michaels and Bulldog, not a match that we've seen for a long time. I'm guessing we've seen it with the Rockers and the British Bulldogs when there was... I can't really remember. Yeah, I think they put on a really good match at some point. Anyway, Michaels is a different beast now. It's completely different. He's moved on so much from there, to the point where Marty Jannetty's been left in the dust big time. And the two go at it straight away from the start, really fast. Great. Then Yokozuna jumps in, and Michaels does a great spot where he mocks his sumo style. Oh, yeah. So he does this, where the sumo wrestler's, prepared to fight. Does that. Yokozuna's like, what are you doing? So he does his, and then they go to run at each other as in to have a sumo match. Shawn Michaels does the baseball slide under Yokozuna. Now, can I just say, that's not easy to do. It's not easy to do a baseball slide under someone's legs, let alone Yokozuna, who had massive legs.
And if it had slipped,
Yep.
he'd have probably died.
Yep.
So
Good stuff, man. Good
Yeah.
stuff. Diesel gets a tag and goes against Yokozuna, putting him down with a massive clothesline before sending him out with a big boot. But Bulldog takes over, attacking Diesel. He goes for his delayed suplex, but Nash didn't get his legs high enough.
yeah, man. That was...
So Bulldog has to drop him, and then they set it up again for it to go again. Yeah, Diesel's a massive guy to do it with, though, I suppose.
Yeah.
What is he, like 6'7", something like
yeah,
that?
something like that.
Something like that. Michaels gets on the shoulders of Diesel and delivers a frog splash to Bulldog. I quite like
That was
moves on the
clever.
shoulders.
That
Yeah,
was
it's clever.
clever.
I mean,
I really like that.
It's quite simple. But have you seen the Mixed Match Challenge with Braun Strowman and Ember Moon as a tag team?
I watched a little bit earlier, but I didn't see
She's been doing the eclipse off the top of his shoulders.
No way.
Yeah. I love Mixed Match Challenge. Honestly, if you want,
Just
if
for a
you're
bit of
watching this
fun.
pay-per-view and you don't know much about WWE recent, or you do, go watch Mixed Match Challenge, man. It's like fun
it's
TV.
like relaxed. It's like relaxed, you know.
Yeah, that
version.
match with Goldust with Mandy
Oh,
Rose
yeah.
is great. We were watching it and we're laughing all the way through. I don't enjoy Raw every week,
Yeah.
but I always enjoy Mixed
Yeah.
Match Challenge, and it's
Yeah,
silly.
I watched this.
Wrestling,
I
it's
watched an
fine.
episode earlier where AJ Styles tries to do the splits, and I was like,
Yeah, it's great, man. It's great. I really do. So check it out if you haven't already. It's not as bad as it sounds. It's fun. Michaels and Bulldogs go back at it again. It's all solid work with these two. When Diesel's used in the way where we see less of him, like this, I quite like him. I think he sort of works when he's in a full match. I don't think he works at all. But he has to have great people around him as well. Not Sid. I'm talking like Michaels and Bulldog and Yokozuna spotty, but that's fine. Great spot where Bulldog and Yokozuna are Irish whipped into each other, and Yokozuna falls flat onto Bulldog, squashing him. Great, and Bulldog's doing this like thing where he's like shit.
yeah.
Yeah, it's great. Michaels delivers the switching music to Yokozuna and then saves a pin on Diesel. Owen Hart runs in. He wasn't here, just sort of turns up.
Decides to show up.
The whole story of the match was he was here all along. Delivers an axe handle off the top rope, but Diesel catches him straight away and jackknifes him for the pin. Diesel jackknifes Owen Hart, and they win the tag team championship belts.
Because Owen is still technically in the match.
But they actually don't, and the next night on Raw, the decision's reversed.
It's reversed.
So it's this is Vince going, people want to see a title change. We'll give him a title change, damn it. Right?
Yeah.
And then this screwy rubbish is the reason that people are turning over and watching. I mean, the match is okay. It's an okay match.
Yeah. Well, my feelings on this pay-per-view were echoed in my previous action. I could pass on it. I could sleep on it. I could doze watching everything, but purely because I'm interested in the character, and I was interested in the character. But there's
Which character are you on about?
just to do like the Bulldog,
The Bulldog heel turn.
the return of the Bulldog.
Cool.
Like I'm interested.
I think he's a
in
better
that.
face, but and I don't think he's
And
got.
like,
He changes the ring music as well. If you're gonna,
he does do in later years.
Yeah.
When he's like more hardcore. Like Mercy as well. I enjoyed, believe it or not, those kind of dark characters have always resonated with me. So I'd go back now and watch the end. I'd go back and watch the end of his matches just to see the sleeper, because I seem to remember him like having every time
he did great eyes.
Like a maniacal, like a maniacal grin sort of thing. Yeah. So that was for that. But this is really, it's a sleeper for me. No pun intended.
It is.
Two stars, I would say.
A lot of people. I was reading a few reviews, and I think people generally disagree with us. I think people tend to prefer this In Your House, but I much prefer In Your House too. I think the whole thing with Jarrett going through from the song to the
that was
Ace
brilliant.
Michaels
that
match.
Was great, actually.
A solid match. I thought in terms of the last match, some good storytelling at times, especially with Michaels and Yokozuna. That stuff was great, and I quite enjoy the match. It's okay. It's good. It's good. It's not great.
I'm not a fan really.
I'm looking forward to seeing 1, 2, 3 going forward.
You won't. It's not monumental.
Is it not?
But
just him as a heel interests me.
Just because he was my absolute favourite at this time, so it was sad for me to see him go bad.
And in the next pay-per-view, Goldust, baby. You excited?
I was gonna be like, you'll never forget the name of.
Man, you just like rubbed my chest hair so hard it's caused like friction. Go on.
Dust.
Best match. I think the last one probably.
Yeah.
I mean, it was
best of a bad bunch.
Yeah. Best performer.
Henry Godwin. No. Bulldog.
Yeah, I'd say Bulldog. I thought he did just a little bit more than Michaels in the last match. And I thought, are you okay?
Yeah, just thinking about the.
You got left a bad taste in your mouth,
yeah.
brother. Yeah, I get that, man. And how many gay stars would you give it?
2.
Yeah, I'd give it 2. A few weaker points in the pay-per-view, but some decent matches towards the end. Nothing spectacular, though.
Nope.
Nothing to write home about.
Nope.
But the next pay-per-view is In Your House 4, which I have no idea if it's any good or not, because I cannot remember. But I can't wait to go back and watch it.
We will find out.
And you will find out if you subscribe to this channel. Hit that like button and hit the little ring bell. Ding ding.
Thanks to our new subscribers, that are people that have come to us either through our present day content or our
awesome
our Wrestling Rewind stuff. We appreciate you bearing with us, spending time with us, enjoying our content. We enjoy your enjoyment. Please feel free to disagree with us, to hate upon us.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah.
We will entertain you.
Do you know? I've noticed you do like a Psycho Sid promo. You talk and then occasionally you just go. It's Psycho Sid. You are living through Psycho Sid.
That's quite a compliment.
Yeah.
Do you know why?
Go on, because you can't get your.
Because I'm the master.
Oh man, this is like ruining my hair episode, man.
I'm gonna finish.
One day when you go through puberty, you'll know what this is like, man. Go on.
I am the master and the ruler of the world.
Oh, bless him! Awesome.
Keep going.
I think I might carry on too sweeting. Or do I do the Mick Foley thing?
You do the bar thing.
Let us know in the comments below.
Where did we
the bar. I'm not doing the bar.
The bar. Do you think we have a thing about a handshake?
I always do like a...
Do we know how we had a handshake for a bit and someone commented on it? Like,
yeah, no, we had like a love heart thing and you kept wanting to do a love heart and I kept going, no. That was a thing at one point. That's gone. Maybe come back. Thanks for joining us. Keep it going.